Jana Niksa, and we're going to talk a little bit about sales today and some of the changes that you may or may not have noticed. I am a transformational coach as well as a motivational speaker and sales expert. And today we're going to talk about something that I like to call skip the script, a new paradigm shift in the world of sales, or in this case, for entrepreneurs. Just a different way to sell yourself, to connect with customers. So I'm super excited to have you all here, and let's get started. So here's the problem. There's been an old way for a really long time, and I really began to recognize this when I was working with my clients, and all of them came to me. Almost all of them, with the problem of, I don't know how to sell. Like everything else in my business is just as it needs to be, but I totally fall flat on my face when I'm in front of a customer or on a call or in a sales presentation, whatever it may be. People were just not comfortable with the sales process. And even more specifically, the close, right? Or, the part where you ask for the business. I have seen this. I've been in the sales industry for over 20 years, and I've seen this countless times as a trainer, as a mentor, and of course now as a coach. The people change. Their energy just shifts when they go from this beautiful presentation. They're talking about their product and all the bells and whistles and everything that's so great about what they do. But then when it comes time to ask somebody to put down their credit card or to make a decision or, are you going to do this? Their energy just totally shifts. They go from completely just all up passionate and just giving it to their audience to this completely different person. And so that's really when I started to really study what happens. Why do we do that? And turns out there's a lot of different things going on, limiting beliefs, self-sabotage, things that are blocking us in that moment. But it also has a lot to do with our sort of mindset around sales. Here's what I mean. You tell me, how uncomfortable do you feel when you get to that point in your business, in your conversation, in the sales call? Do you start to tense up? Does your heart start to race? And, you may not even say things, you're fumbling over your words. And that's because we aren't comfortable with the old sales model, because it has a ton. Sales in general, the word, has so much negative connotations associated with it. The old sales models are just uncomfortable. They're so predictable, and they're no longer effective because we've all been there. We've all done that. We've been pushed around. We've heard, the whole scarcity act now, or time's running out, and all of those things. And we just cringe, right? So what happens is when it's time for us to go in and do that part of our own business, we apply all of these old sales models and we feel super uncomfortable for good reason, right? I've heard so many of my clients, I'm not a salesperson. I hate sales. And here's the thing, that will be the lifeline of your business. I'm sure you know that as an entrepreneur. We have to make sales, right? So we have to find a different way to relate to the sales process. And what I found in my decades of experience is the reason I've always been successful in any type of company, in any type of selling environment. I've always, rose to the top, been one of the top performers. And I think it's because I never subscribed to this old stinking sales model. No matter where you are, whether if you're an entrepreneur or your career sales, even as a sales executive, they would say, here's your sales script. Here's what we want you to say. Here's the questions we want you to ask. You need to pause here. And, all of this structure and fakeness and predictable crap that doesn't resonate. People are tired of it. I know I'm tired of it. When was the last time you were sold to by somebody that was trying to do these things to you? I am sure you were just, like, yeah. I got to go. I mean, or, hey, can I help you? No, I'm just looking, right? How many times do we say that? But then you can also recall a time where you really did have a good sales experience. And that's really what I want you to do in this moment. If you have a pen and paper, I'd love for you to start to take notes. But the number one question I want you to ask yourself when you're working through your sales process, prior to, of course, the sales meeting is, would this work for me? Because that's what we need to emulate. Okay? Because whether you know it or not, you're selling all the time. You're selling somebody on a great TV show, right? We've done a lot of that over the last year and a half. You're selling somebody on this new restaurant, or you're telling a family member about this awesome vitamin or this new workout program, right? And the thing is, you don't realize you're selling them, but you are. You're sharing something from your heart that you love, and in hoping that you can communicate that to them in a way that they accept that same belief in, and also may go watch that TV show or try that new workout program, etc. And so that is sales. The problem is, as I said before, is we have this old model. We've got so many upgrades, the way we do business online, how we connect on social media, how we do so many things differently than we did 5-10 years ago, for sure. But we haven't changed our sales approach. We're still bullying. We're still pushing. We're still backing people into the corner. And, with a bunch of fear behind it, because all we're seeing is dollar signs, and all we want to do is close the deal. And unfortunately, that may work, and it does. I mean, it has. But wouldn't you want to be comfortable with sales? Because I know for most people that process is not comfortable. So I'm here to offer you a new way, a way that you can sell just as naturally as you do when you're telling somebody about that new TV program. Because here's the difference. At the end of the day, yeah, you would love it if they watched it, right? Because then you could talk about it, and well, when that happened, and da. But ultimately, you don't have a ton of attachment to whether or not they do, or they try the new exercise program or the restaurant or whatever it may be. So that is the difference. And so your intention is just to serve, right? It's just to share. It's not to get them to do something. And so that will come into play here when I talk about these 3 pillars of a new sales model, one that's based on integrity and trust and truth and connection, and really coming from the heart. And if you can really take what I just said and keep that top of mind as you're presenting to a customer, or doing, some sort of one-on-one sales call, whatever the situation may be, if you can keep that intention front and center, then it's an entirely different experience for you and the customer. So what I like to call it is selling from the inside out. And, what do I really mean? It's all about that honest connection. It's all about knowing who you are and what is on your heart, and what you feel so strongly about, so passionate about, that you've started an entire business doing it. I mean, that's huge. That's huge. And so when you can approach it from that natural place, and not I'm trying to get them to do something place, or I need them to do something so that I can make X, it changes the energy completely. So it's not what you say in those sales conversations. It's how you say it. Let me give you an example. So I don't know if any of you have heard of some of the studies about when somebody walks into the room and how quickly our subconscious mind goes ahead and reads their energy and reads what all vibes and everything else that's going on underneath, what we think is, language is such a very small percent of the communication. Okay. And so I think it's between depending on what study you look at, it's between 3 and 8 seconds. Somebody's made up their mind. They already know what they want to know. They, it's that, I don't know, there's just something about that person sort of thing. Right. And so what we have to do as entrepreneurs is get whatever's inside right with ourselves first. Because if we're doing something that's out of integrity, that doesn't feel right for us, they're going to pick up on that right away. And I know that if you're an entrepreneur here, that's not going to be the case for you, right? Like what you're doing, you feel so strongly about, or you wouldn't be doing it. So, it's not so much a question of whether or not you believe in what you're doing, but in that sense, it's also whether or not you believe in yourself. Because these are the pillars that we're going to cover today. And what selling from the inside out is all about. It's about authenticity, connection, and service. Those are the values of the times. People are so done with the fake, the phony, the wheeling and dealing, smooth talking stuff that we think sales is all about. You don't have to become that person. You don't have to. When I have clients come to me and say, I just want a good sales script, I know right then and there. That's why this is called skip the script, because it's so phony. People see right through that. A good example that I actually heard one of my mentors talking about was the Pro RX bar. What a great thing. Because, there's so many bars. I don't know how many of you are fans of bars out there. I know I am. And there's so many, right? And those of us that are super health conscious, what is the first thing we do? We look at all the ingredients, like what's in this thing. And I think one of the reasons and that these Pro RX bars have become such a huge thing is because it's right there on the front, peanuts, dates, chocolate, egg whites, no BS. And I think people really like that. And so it's time to do the no BS approach to sales. But in order to do that, in order to not become someone else, you have to be who you are. And so that's where authenticity comes in. Authenticity, guys, is the new black. I think it's so clever, but it's so true, because if we can truly connect with who we are and feel that confident with who and what we are, doing that inner work. I am also a meditation teacher, and I've been meditating for a long time. And so whether it's prayer, whether it's meditation, whether it's, quiet time spent in contemplation, whatever it may be for you, that self-care is huge in finding your authenticity. Because in order to be authentic, you have to be brave. In order to be authentic, you have to know who you are. And in order to do all of those things and define that true confidence, not that, fake it till you make it confidence, you have to have a connection to that part of yourself. And so authenticity is huge, because people don't, I hear so much, I could sell, but I don't want to be pushy. I don't want to sound, sleazy or cheesy. And you don't have to. You can sell from your soul, which is the name of my course. You can sell from that heart place inside you where it just comes out. You're just connected. And so, but in order to, you do have to cultivate some of that. You have to cultivate time within yourself to really get to know what is your voice. What is your inner salesperson, for lack of a better word? How do they sound? How do they present? How do they close? How do they connect? And the more time you can really get to know that part of you and not what somebody tells you it should be, the more true and the more confident you will be, and the more connected your customers will be to you. Because we want to connect with our customers by attraction rather than promotion. And so those are very different things. When you're standing in your own truth and you're sharing what's on your heart about your product, about your offering, and whatever it may be, and you're in that place, that big present energy, it is infectious. People love it. They crave it. And when you can stand in your truth and make a mistake, or, fudge over words or whatever it may be, and still hold the line and not get all up in your head about whatever's going on, and still just be authentically you. Who gets tongue-tied? Authentically me gets dry mouth. And that's okay. It's okay. I'm sure there's plenty of people that can relate. And that's what people want. They don't want perfection. They want connection. And so being and standing in your authentic truth and confidence in who you are and what you're all about is huge. And so I just invite you to just, we're just skimming the surface with this. So I really invite you to set an intention. If you don't feel like you have that connection to yourself, listen, I wouldn't be doing this work now if I hadn't been through a period where I know a lot of people are. And that is, I got to hit it hard. I got to become somebody that I'm not. I've got to push people into the sale, and all of these things that we were taught. This isn't something that you came up with on your own. This is what we were taught. This is how it is. And, the early bird catches the worm, which I actually do believe, because I am a morning person and I think it's a huge part of my day for self-care. But that's beside the point. All of these things that we've been taught about how to be successful, how to be the best, and how to be the number one, and all of that mentality is really going away, because people don't respond to that anymore like they used to. They don't, that's why people like the underdog in movies, right? There's something to say for those that are just honest and open with their sales process. And so I invite you to really sink into who you are authentically. Get connected with that. Truly. Let that shine through when you're doing your sales presentations. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be honest. And when you can do that, you're going to attract the right customers for you. And that's where the second pillar comes in, which is connection. We've all been in that. We want to connect, not convince. If you're really backing somebody in the corner and trying to convince them that this is the right way and you need to work with me because I'm the best, and push, you're going to end up either driving the right people away and attracting the wrong people, because they end up making that decision out of fear, right? Fear that, this is a one-time offer, act now, or, whatever it may be. But when you set up and make decisions based on fear, it's not it's not a really strong foundation. And so I invite you to, when you're thinking through a sales conversation, instead of, I could say that to convince them, or maybe I need to add this little trick in so they feel like they have to do it. Connect. Make that your intention. Get to know this person. Get to know what they really need. What do they really want? What is it about what you have to offer them that is a right fit for them? The only way to truly know that is to listen, to ask questions, and not sit there waiting to respond, but to really be present, be in that big present energy, and let them know you're listening and that you care. We all know the difference between the person that is waiting to talk and the person that is really holding space and listening. And when you can do that, you will attract and connect with your soulmate clients. And you really have to trust that when you speak from your heart and you listen and you open up to hear from their heart, that will create a connection. And if it doesn't, trust that it's not the right person. And that is okay. We have to stop with sales coming from this scarcity mindset of I have to have everybody, I have to close everyone. And just free up that space and that fear to trust that the right people will come and you will connect with the right people. And so be that breath of fresh air. Be that breath of fresh air for people, that good sales experience. Let's change the way people relate to the sales process. And they can say, oh, this is exciting because I can get to hear what's, about this really authentic person from a really honest place. And we get to figure out if we connect, yes or no. And, we've all smelled that sort of desperation on people in the sales process. And it's just, it doesn't work. It really doesn't. We all know that. We all sense that. Remember, 3 to 8 seconds. Your energy leads into the room before you're even in there. They know where you are. Maybe they don't know it consciously, but subconsciously they do. And it's just so important that you hear what they're saying, because as much as, I see this all the time with my clients, and I used to see it when I was a trainer before and a mentor and everything back in the sales world. We just throw information. We throw information at them, right? You got to have you don't like that? Well, how about this? Well, that's not working for you. What about that? And here's the thing. A confused buyer doesn't buy. And buyers don't buy when they understand everything you have to offer. They buy when they feel understood. And those are two very different things. And so I would invite you to begin to think this way when you're dealing with your customers. Begin to remember that they're a human being just like you are, with a family and responsibilities and all of these things that make them who they are. They're not just a number. And when you can get in that space, you will connect. And the other thing that we should know, if we don't as entrepreneurs, is it's a lot harder and costly to get a new customer or client than it is to continue with the one that you've had, over the course of however long, or to upsell them, to have them stay with you, to follow you. They become a fan, right? That's what we want. But we can't get that without truly listening and connecting. So I invite you to really begin to have that up front and center when you're having these sales discussions. My intention here isn't to sell them, isn't to close them. It is to connect with them. And then if it feels right, if you've taken them on the journey, it feels natural to close. One of the reasons it feels so uncomfortable when we ask people, so what do you think? And basically calling them to the carpet, right? Yes or no. Oh, here we go. Is because we haven't really earned the right. We've been on our agenda, going through checking, tick, all of our boxes to make sure we share everything that needs to be shared. But instead, shift that paradigm. Make it you're checking all their boxes, making sure you're understanding everything that needs to be understood, asking questions, asking follow-up questions. As you go through the presentation, checking in, how does this resonate with you? What do you think so far? And just getting that dialogue going. And I know it's not always easy. I mean, a lot of times we're selling in a format just like this. It's a dialogue. But there's a way to connect and to come, and people sense that when you're speaking from the heart, when you're speaking the truth, and your intention is pure. And so I invite you to really bring that in to your business if you haven't already. And the last pillar here is service. So let's think of this as service over sales. These people are not sales dollars. They're not numbers. They're human beings. As I said before, they have families, they have responsibility, they have jobs, they make money. They're mindful about where it goes. And it's such an honor if they decide, to spend it with something that you have to offer. And so remembering why you got in this from the get-go. We always hear as entrepreneurs, remember your why. And that is really what it's all about, because there is that level of trust that your soulmate clients, you will attract them, you will connect with them, and you will serve them. Take the fear-based, greed and pressure off of yourself of, I got to make this sale, I got to make this amount of money, and shift it into, I got to help this many people. I need to serve and connect and change lives. And when you can continue to bring it there, you'd be amazed how people just flock to you, because you're different. You're not just trying to sell them something. And they can feel that. We've all felt that when we've had good sales experience in the past. You didn't even feel like you were being sold, right? You just knew at the end of it, you're like, yes, yes. And so they didn't even have to ask for the business. You were so on board. Like, where do I sign? And so I'm just asking you to continue to stay out of your head. And this is something that we practice a lot in meditation, right? Is to just bring your awareness into your body, bring your awareness into your heart. Stay out of that mindset of, I got to close this, and that pressure and that fear that creeps in. I need this much, this many, this month, this much money, this much, all that. When you can just shut that out and just have a real, true conversation, heart to heart. Why do you think they say heart to heart? Let's have a heart to heart. It's because they know that that's where the truth and the connection and all the honesty and what people really crave and what they need from an interaction with anybody. And that includes sales. It doesn't have to be slimy and gross and uncomfortable. It can be natural and honest and pure. And so I just really invite you to begin to, I suspect that this is resonating with a lot of you out there, and a lot of these things you are doing. I mean, service is no secret. It's been around, but we don't do it, right? We get caught up. So just continue to bring yourself back to that. Continue to block that fear aspect out and bring yourself back to your intention. And the more you can do that and stand in that authentic truth while doing it, I'm telling you, you are holding space for so much more to come in. When we operate from scarcity and competition and, that survival of the fittest mentality, is such a different energy. And it just is so cutthroat. It's so stressful. It's so fear-based, and it's so old school. So I hope that you're beginning to see where this goes and how this can change things for you. So, as we put it all together, how does this change the way you may act, think, feel in front of your customer, about the sales process in general? Could you take what you're currently doing and really make it your own, and be mindful and aware enough in those moments to continue to bring it back to that space, and not letting your mind wander into the old headspace, the old school model? Could you see how this would make you more comfortable, because it is just you sharing authentically you, what's on your heart with a pure conscience. I mean, if you don't think that gives you confidence, when you can do it in that way, and not that fake it till you make it confidence, that true confidence, you got another thing coming. I've seen people make transitions overnight when they apply some of these principles, and just some of them, and just not being afraid of the word no, understanding that we live in an abundant universe, and you don't want everybody to say yes. It doesn't take everybody in the world to say yes. So just getting comfortable with that no. How do you think that would change that pressure that maybe you feel currently when you're having these conversations? How do you think it would change the way your potential clients and customers feel? So, do you think this could change the bottom line in your business if you adopted some of these values and principles? So that's really all I have today, is just making a paradigm shift from the head to the heart, and leading from that space, and noticing what shows up for you, and continuing to weave that trust and surrender throughout, knowing that the right people are out there, and that you don't have to do it all. There are other forces at work here. It's not just you pedal to the metal, 12, 14, 15, however many hours a day. That there's a trust that can be involved. You don't have to do it all alone. So with that, I just want to say thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for joining me. I hope you found this helpful. Here is my contact information. This is where you can find me. I have my website, which is jananixa.com. You can email me if you have questions about anything that was covered today, and anything about the inner work. That is, I am a transformational sales coach. So emphasis on the transformation piece, because a lot of these things, especially if this is new for you, it will take some inner work to stand in that authenticity, and to find that true strength and confidence from within. And so if you have questions, please email me at jana@jananixa.com. Find me on Facebook at Project Live Awake, and Instagram as well. So again, thank you very, very much for your time. It has been an honor to serve you today. And I hope you have a fabulous, amazing, connected day.